So, yeah, there is a lot of pressure on social media that is now being put on Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson since this alleged Charlie Kirk letter has been revealed. And people are asking them to take their statements back. In particular, people are asking Megyn Kelly to disassociate with Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. I kid you not. You're going to see proof of that. Now, Candace did issue a response about that letter, and she said something else too, which I was not aware of, about what Charlie Kirk wanted to do, what he was trying to do going forward. Everybody need to take a listen to this really quick. So people wanted her to respond, so she did respond. So here we go.
So let's stick with that theme. Do you want to know something else that was brand new leading up to this event? Charlie's perspective on Israel. Okay, so let me say this so you can hear it. Charlie Kirk's perspective on Israel was not starting to shift. It had shifted entirely. Okay, there are no ifs and there are no ands and there are no buts about it. Israel knew that. Turning Point USA knew that because Charlie was explicit. So my question is, why isn't Turning Point USA making any statements and shutting down this repeat attempt by Israel to lie and to pretend that towards the end, Charlie was just authoring love letters to Israel, giving them a perspective of here's how we can win here's what you guys need to do. You need to work with this Hillel, whatever it is. Yeah, the same people that are calling me anti-Semitic, you need to work with those people harder. And he was just putting it on paper. Was it an email? What was that they were sharing on the New York Post, the Israeli Post, right? What were they sharing there?
Let me pause here and I'll answer that question for Candace. The reason why Turning Point isn't coming out and saying anything or denying it or whatever is because in the world of business, the business goes on. And you guys are already seeing that, right? Like they already found a replacement for him very quickly. Again, I was not a fan of Charlie Kirk. I have a lot of problems with things that Charlie Kirk said. But do I still feel as though he had the right to say it? Yes, because I believe in free speech. But at the end of the day, the business doesn't want to muddy the waters. They don't want to get into those things. They just want to keep that business thriving. And right now it seems like, Erica Kirk is kind of taking up these reins. She was his wife to take on that challenge of Turning Point USA. And then they have this young guy, Brilliant Hollyhan, who is now going to speak at these different campuses, which we talked about a couple of days ago. So at the end of the day, the business is never going to put itself in jeopardy, even if it means coming forward with what Candace says is the truth. That's not going to happen. Let's continue on.
He wrote of his deep love for Israel. He had nothing else to do in May. Wrote of his deep love for Israel to a letter to Netanyahu. Netanyahu said they were close, but in the letter, Charlie puts his number, which apparently Netanyahu didn't have his number. And we're supposed to believe, did he send that as an email, by the way? Can somebody clarify, was that an email they were sharing? Or did he send it in the mail to him? Could somebody share that, please? I'm assuming it was an email. Can someone share the timestamp on that? Just kind of like authenticate that email, because I'm very aware of what's going on. Okay. And I don't know how the executives over at Turning Point USA sleep at night. Okay. I don't know how you can present yourselves as a Christian organization and not be dedicating yourself to the truth. No matter what the cost is, you tell the truth. That's it. Okay.
The same way pastors and have committed some crimes that the church is aware of and Christian organizations defend them. The same way. In fact, there was just a pastor reported for like trafficking a kid. The same way. And this is ultimately why some people leave the church. The hypocrisy. The same way that pastors who are married can have affairs with women in the congregation and other people in the church know about it. And also people that are part of other like boards from other churches. You know, you have like the conferences, the church conferences and stuff like that, where all different churches like come together and stuff like that. And they know about it and they still back the pastor. That's how. That is how.
You don't hide it. You don't try to obfuscate it. You don't try to say, well, wait until the memorial event before we start looking into who murdered him. You tell the truth and you tell it immediately. And I don't think they're capable of doing that. And I have an idea as to why that is. I think the same people that were pressuring Charlie are pressuring them. In fact, I know that for a fact. So they might need my help. Okay. I'm going to state this, and I'm going to challenge Turning Point USA executives to issue a very clean statement saying that I am lying if this is not true. About 48 hours before Charlie Kirk died, Charlie informed people at Turning Point, as well as Jewish donors and a rabbi, that he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause outright. Okay, Charlie was done. He said it explicitly, that he refused to be bullied anymore by the Jewish donors. Can you guys answer? Did he express that? Did he also express that he wanted to bring me, Candace Owens, back because he was standing up for himself? And then did he, just 48 hours later, conveniently catch a bullet to the throat before our onstage reunion could happen?
Okie dokie. And this is the part that I wanted to draw your attention to, because now we're getting other information. So according to Candace, she is saying that he had decided to abandon the pro-Israel cause altogether. Now, this goes a step further than what she said before, and then what Tucker Carlson also said, and also a step further than what Megyn Kelly said. They all said that Charlie Kirk had questions about Israel and felt like he should be able to ask those questions or to criticize Israel if he wanted to. But they also said that he truly loved Israel. Now we're hearing from Candace that Charlie wanted to abandon the pro-Israel movement altogether. So that goes a step further. So it appears there must have been, if this is true, there must have been conversations that he had with her that he did not have with them. Now we're also hearing that Candace Owens is saying that Charlie Kirk wanted to bring her back. So everyone needs to go back and remember some things. Remember, Turning Point USA, Candace used to be a part of those conferences. Remember, it wasn't just Charlie Kirk that was going around. Candace used to join him in some of those conferences, speaking to college students, etc. She was a big part of all that as well. Then all this stuff happened with the Daily Wire. She spoke out against Israel, the genocide, the killing of the children, when she was still at the Daily Wire. And the Daily Wire let her go. And we can go through that story another time. We done already been down that road. But Ben Shapiro and them basically said, you got to get up out of here. So she left the Daily Wire and she decided to start her own podcast and, do her own thing. And Turning Point USA, all of these organizations cut ties. You see, this is what I was saying about things being a business, right? On the left, it's a little bit different because, like I said, we don't have a lot of money on the left. Like, we don't have a Turning Point USA of the left. We had a Justice Democrats, but even Justice Democrats didn't do, like, there weren't these campus tours, go all across the country and speak at campus. We just didn't have that on the left, right? So once she spoke out against what Israel was doing, and even at that point in the beginning, she wasn't like, I despise Israel. She was just asking, why are they killing all these kids in Gaza? I'm seeing the videos, I'm seeing the images, right? So even that was too much. And she debated, like a rabbi came on Daily Wire to talk to her about this. And I think Rabbi Shmuley also wanted to talk to her. And the next thing you knew, she was out of there. When they fired her from the Daily Wire, after that, she was also removed from other orgs. So she was no longer a part of Turning Point USA. They didn't want anything to do with her. I think the conservative conference, what is it, CPAC? CPAC, they didn't want her to speak there. Once you turn, this is what I said before about these organizations. Once you turn against them or even just speak out in a way that they don't think that you should, every door shuts in your face. So all of that was gone. I don't think a lot of people realize just how much they like these individuals, like people like Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, and stuff like that. When they were traveling across the country, that was all paid for. They put them up in nice hotels, all of this stuff. They had a lot of money. The left went, we don't have that. The left does not have that, right? So according to her, she is saying that Charlie Kirk wanted her to come back to Turning Point USA. And also, according to her, she was supposed to have, I guess, her appearance on stage. I'm coming back out to the org on stage. There was supposed to be, I guess, some announcement, according to her. If this is true, why isn't anyone else talking about it? If it is true, they're not talking about it because they still want to be a part of the club. Because if they co-sign what she's saying, they will be dismissed from the club too. All these doors will shut in their face. And that's what this is about a lot of the times, folks. And this is one of the things I said before. When you look at this YouTube media space, and then you look at an organization like Turning Point USA, this is all a business. The Daily Wire is a business. People are going to do what they feel is best for their bottom line in that business. And if that means that they want to get rid of you, they'll get rid of you. And we watch this happen with multiple people. We watched it happen to Katie Halper. We watched it happen to Brianna Joy Gray. They were removed from Rising. You know, at the end of the day, they looking out for the business. They just want to make money. That's what this is really all about. One big club. But that's the first time I heard that he wanted to bring her back. Let's continue.
It's a yes or a no. Okay. Let's stop this ditching. Let's stop the dodging. Let's explicitly, I want to hear from Turning Point USA that I'm lying about that. I want you to say, no, it was just, he was feeling a little bit of pressure. No, I want you to literally answer what I have just said. It either happened or it didn't. I'm either making it all up or it happened exactly as I'm saying. And while we're at it, may I ask, what is the name of the Jewish donor who sponsored the Hamptons weekend? Okay. And to Pastor Rob McCoy, were there any LLCs that you or your son were being paid through that sat outside of Turning Point? I'm asking that question genuinely. Yeah, I'm putting the fire here right at the feet of Turning Point because I am disgusted. I am genuinely disgusted. I am looking around and wondering whether Charlie's entire life was the Truman Show. None of you guys are behaving in the way that you should be behaving, okay? There is no way you are letting these lies fly unless, as I am hearing, unless it is true that there was a big payday that was on the line. And if Charlie radically stated that he was done with Israel, if Charlie said he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause because of, and I quote, Jewish donors, the behavior of Jewish donors, if he said that, yes or no, well then, I don't know, maybe some people didn't want to take that risk that he was going to become Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson at Turning Point USA with all of those presences, so much presence across college campuses. Maybe they didn't want to take the chance. You see,
but they already had someone lined up very quickly to assume that position. And this is one of the things I said before too, it's still just really weird to me how quickly they just moved on with someone else. So when I say I have questions, I mean damn, that was fast. It was really, really, really fast. You guys ever noticed this? It's just very weird to me how quickly they moved on with him. Now, I don't know. I have no proof if what Candace is saying is true, but I can tell you a little something from my experience in particular in this YouTube media space. So this show, The Sabby Sab show. This show is independent, right? So I don't have sponsors. I don't have no billionaire backers, none of that stuff. Can't you tell? Look at my setup, right? You can see the difference. And one thing I can tell you that I have noticed, the shows that have a lot of money, they have people putting more money like into them. There's a lot that they can do, but sometimes there is a string attached to that financial investment. It's like I said before, no one is going to donate millions of dollars to your podcast or to your organization without getting something in return. And oftentimes what you see in particular with these shows, like we talked about, like with David Pakman and them taking the dark money, oftentimes what you see with these shows is that the podcaster and the organizer, so to speak, they end up basically performing a role. And it's almost as if it's like, if you try to go outside of that role, the script that is written for you, people will start to withdraw the money. They stop donating. I'm not going to invest in you anymore because, like I said, they're going to get something for their investment. And if you've been sitting back and you've been wondering if some of the people that you watch or whatever you've seen before, whatever, like they can't be this naive. No way they actually believe this. There's no way in hell. And you may have thought at one point, maybe they're just playing a role. They probably are. Because that's the thing. And when you assume that role, that is really what your job is at that point in time. And when some of these billionaires start investing in an organization like Turning Point USA, or even investing, they'll come to you with all kind of stuff. We'll get you a studio so you don't have to stream. You think people ain't coming to me with stuff? We'll get you a studio so that you don't have to stream in your home. We'll pay for it. We'll get you a nice newscaster desk. We'll even hook you up with the professional sound system, which, by the way, is very expensive. If anyone's ever worked in audio engineering or anything, you have worked in any type of studio, you worked with audio, you know that having a mic'd up studio is very expensive. And they come to you with all of these things. And especially if you just really want to get yourself out there, and for some people, they can be really intrigued by the money. A lot of times people say yes, but there are strings attached to that investment. And people can pull it back anytime. I know one channel in particular who's no longer in the space came to me privately a couple years ago. This offer was made to them. And the moment they gave like basically a test, they had a test run. The moment they decided, well, no, I'm not going to be who you want me to be. That individual who decided to invest in them wanted them to portray a more liberal approach, didn't want them to be as far left, said they were a little too radical, just try to be a little bit more mainstream for the moderates. And they weren't willing to change who they were. They sent all the equipment back and they left the space completely. So there are a lot of things that have happened behind the scenes that you guys just may not be, you're not aware of because you're not behind the scenes, but I've seen it. I've seen people say, okay, I'll take that money. I'll take that offer and I don't have a studio. So some of these people are playing roles. Like I said, I told you guys, I never met Charlie Kirk. I never engaged with him in any way, shape, or form. But sometimes you got to wonder. I remember, what's her name? Tammy Loren. I remember, I think Kyle Kalinske, this was like back in the day, he used to call her out a lot, like on his channel. And I remember years ago, I was saying to myself, there's no way she believes this stuff that she's saying. Like, I don't believe she believes it. Some of these people are playing roles. Let's go on a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm just one person, so it's easy to just try to cancel my life and lie on me every second of every day. But Turning Point USA, I think, got a little bit bigger than Charlie. And I'm no longer going to allow this lie in this narrative. So answer the questions, yes or no. And I'm going to, again, challenge you to lie. And if you do lie, I'm going to expose the lies. And I'm going to start dropping videos, actually. So that's where I'm at. Enough of the games, enough with trying to allow Israel to wrangle a narrative that you know is not true. Charlie did not die pro-Israel. He did not die for Israel. He did not martyr himself as a friend of Israel. In fact, the friends of Israel were pressuring him really badly, and he was done, and he finally stood up for himself. And I'm proud of that. And I will say this, you know what? Somewhere, Charlie is watching, okay? And I hope he knows that we are reunited, okay? We're on stage right now, and the Jewish donors are very angry about it, extremely angry about it. But it feels good to know that in the end, truth is going to win. So accept my challenge or don't.
Okay, so she said she is willing to release videos. I guess we'll have to wait and see if that happens. But here's the thing, and I'm gonna get to the Megyn Kelly part. Here's the problem, right? You know, people will turn on you. People will turn on you the moment you don't move the way that they want you to move. I've had people in this space turn on me because I wasn't willing to support Kamala Harris, which, to no secret, for people who know me in my personal life, I wasn't willing to support Kamala Harris in 2020. So I don't know why people thought I would have been willing to support her in 2024. So they will turn on you. The moment that you don't move the way that they think, is almost like cult-like, right? And there's cliques within this media space as well, on the left and on the right. And I think people have seen it before on the left, but now we're starting to see where there may have been cliques on the right as well. Here's the thing. If what Candace is saying is true, the problem that she runs into is, of course, the people that worked with her on the right, like the Ben Shapiro's and all that jazz, they're not going to come in to defend her because they closed that door. On the other hand, people on the left are not going to come forward and defend her because there's just no relationship there. So she's in a position where it's like, if she is telling the truth, who is going to back her up? Now, Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson did, in reference to Charlie starting to question Israel and wanted to be able to criticize it, right? I don't know if they're going to go further than that. I really don't. And let me show you why. People are already coming after Megyn Kelly. This is from Florida, Dad. If you can't separate yourself from Candace Owens, many of us are going to separate ourselves from you. We do not have to align with everyone that claims to be of the right when their motives and history are as shady as hers. 3,000 likes for this tweet. He was responding to Megyn Kelly's tweet here, where she said the Charlie Kirk letter to Bibi is interesting for obvious reasons. But if you want to hear Charlie in his own words speaking to a friend, re his feelings on Israel and the pressure on him, it's all here on August 6th. No filter needed. Just listen to him. And I think we've played that before on this show. But do you see Florida Dad? If you can't separate yourself from Candace Owens, okay, check this one out. So she responded, look at this. No, I have no obligation to separate myself from anyone. I run my own media company and my own show. That show is where I express my own opinions, and I will decide what and what not to opine on. If you need me to condemn Candace or Tucker for their opinions in order to listen to me, then I may not be for you. He's a close friend, and she's under enough pressure without gratuitous shots from me. My fight is with the left, not these two. So everybody see what's happening here now? So now people are pointing fingers at Megyn Kelly. This is all on social media. For those, I know some of you don't have an X account, and I understand. I understand. You see what's happening here? So it's very, very telling. This is the first time I've seen this split on the right. Like I said, like on the left, I've seen it multiple times. I saw it during Force the Vote. I saw it in 2016 after there was this debate whether or not if Bernie supporters should support Hillary Clinton. And I remember TYT said, vote for Hillary. There's a little bit of a split there. I saw it in 2020 when there was a split between whether people should support Joe Biden or just not, withhold because of what they did to Bernie. I've seen this a lot on the left and with other issues too. It's not just elections, sometimes on the left. But this is the first time I've seen a split like this on the right. So I don't know, you guys. I don't know, but I do have questions. And here are some of the questions that I have, because my whole thing is this. At the end of the day, I think people are going to have to make a decision. I haven't seen the interview yet with Tucker Carlson and Jeffrey Sachs. I do need to watch that. I know many of you already emailed me and said you need to watch this interview. And Professor Sachs has been on the show as well. But I'm going to say this. It seems like what is going to happen is at some point, I think someone's going to give. Someone's going to bend. Right now, Megyn Kelly, who wasn't seen as what they call fringe, right, is now being viewed that way because of that alleged letter that has been released. Like I said, I don't know if that letter is the real letter or not. There's no date on that letter. I don't know. Anybody could wrote that. We don't know. But assuming that it is, she is now being ostracized by some on the right. Tucker Carlson, some of them started to ostracize him when he interviewed Vladimir Putin. So this has been going on for quite a bit now, but even more so now, because he said, why can't we criticize Israel? Why do we have to have so much focus on this country that I don't even live in? And then, of course, Candace Owens. And if I were to make a bet on who I think would bend, it would probably be Megyn. Tucker doesn't need to. Candace honestly don't need to either. Her channel's doing very well. But if I had to guess, it would probably be Megyn, because Megyn's show is a part of Sirius Radio. You guys familiar with Sirius? So she worked for somebody. What if they put pressure on Megyn and tell her, look, cut it out with the Israel criticism or you're out of here? Then what? That's why it's good to be independent. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.